Hello, I'm Charlie Brooker, and welcome to So Wrong It's Right, a show all about my favourite subjects, calamity and disaster. Yes, this is a show all about failure and what, if anything, we can learn from it. And there is lots to learn. For instance, even if you fail, you don't have to give up. When the engines on Amelia Earhart's aeroplane failed over the Pacific Ocean, did she give up? No. She drowned. And now, they don't give medals for failure, but if they did, my three guests tonight would probably fail to... Oh, look at that. You can't have water falling over in the... Who designed that?
Great radio moment.
Shh! I haven't introduced you yet. You don't exist in this universe until I say your name. And now... And now, they don't give medals for failure, but even if they did, my three guests tonight would probably fail to get one, thereby qualifying to get one, thereby disqualifying themselves from keeping it. If you're confused, blame them. Them being Lee Mack, Holly Walsh and Barry Cryer. Now, I'll be asking them all a series of questions. Their aim is to answer each of them as wrongly as possible. I'll be awarding a point to whoever I think has given me the worst and therefore the best answer. The first round is called Wrong Time, Wrong Place. I'll be asking my guests to delve into their own calamitous pasts in an attempt to out-wrong each other with stories from their own dismal lives. Not that I'm judging them. This week's theme is school. When I was at school, we had nicknames for all our teachers. Bumface Brown, Mr Sweatpatch, Miss Knockers. If only I could remember what their nicknames were. I was... That's quite old school, that, isn't it? So, Lee Mack, school. What is the worst thing that happened to you at school?
Well, we used to be a gambling group, so we used to go to the arcades and play on the fruit machines. And me and my mate decided we were sick of losing money on the fruit machine, so we were going to make one, and then the kids at school could play on our fruit machine, and we'd win all the money. How are you going to make a fruit machine? I hear Charlie and the audience thinking. That was the biggest flaw in our plan. We didn't know how to. Because the fruit machine that we liked playing was called Adders and Ladders, which is obviously based on Snakes and Ladders, and actually is a better name, isn't it? Adders and Ladders.
Well, it's Snakes and Ladders copyright or something. Why the hell did they have to come up with that?
Well, they did have a copyright, yeah.
So, who owns the copyright for Snakes and Ladders?
Apparently window cleaners and pythons. And so what happened was we decided to make one, right, out of a piece of wood that looked like a Snakes and Ladders board. So you'd roll a dice, and then as you stopped along the way, you'd win money based on...
It's a die. You roll a die, you don't roll a dice.
Ah, no, I'm not having that. I know you are...
You are having
no,
that.
No, I'm not having
You're
that.
being schooled, young man.
You're right. English language-wise, you are right, yeah.
Yeah.
But no one says it. So let's say what people say rather than what we... Nobody ever says die. I have a big debate with my wife.
I'm thinking it right now.
To be fair, Charlie, you've looked at people for the last 10 years and thought that... that's your internal catchphrase. So,
anyway, sorry, yes.
Yeah,
so back to the game.
We'd got it wrong and we lost a lot of money. Because then we got found out, so I was told I had to go and see the deputy headmaster. I was panicking about what he was going to do to me, so I had this theory that it's very hard to tell a child off if he suddenly looks disfigured in the face. So I did a tiny little nick on my face, just a tiny one, right, to produce some blood, and I let it bleed quite a lot, and I rubbed the blood into my cheek, and I put a bit of soil and gravel on it and let it all cake up so it looked like a massive scab, and then I went to see him on the theory that he would be so distracted by the giant scab that he wouldn't have a go at me.
You failed to make a fruit machine.
Yeah.
And then you tried to win sympathy by rubbing mud and blood all over your own face.
I think that's a fair assessment of the crime, Charlie.
Yes.
Yeah. But I didn't get told off. That's the point, isn't it? What I lost in dinner money, I gained in not being hit with a table tennis bat, which was the form of punishment at the time.
That's quite a harrowing tale. Then.
Well, you know, that's what I'm here for, Charlie, to sort of lighten the atmosphere. Yeah.
Well, I know, obviously, it's quite dangerous when you say to people, what's the worst thing that happened to you at school? They might actually tell you. It might be something horrible. Holly, what about you?
Well, I went to a really weird school where you had to wear a Tudor uniform and march into lunch every day. So I have no...
What time frame are we talking about?
I went to school in the 16th century. Right. But I have no, communal ground for discussion about school with anyone else, because everyone else is like, yeah, I got caught smoking behind the bike sheds, and I'm like, oh my God, did you see somebody spoon the girdle of the senior Grecian? She didn't realise till second grace. Like, that's my level of anecdote. So the worst thing that happened to me was in my first term. It was a boarding school. We used to have these big milk dispensers in all the houses that were like these big boxes of milk that you'd put into like a sort of dispensing, like a water cooler, but of milk.
I like your description of the milk dispenser. It was a machine that you put milk in and it dispensed it. I wondered what it was.
Really painted a picture with words.
You clearly have no understanding of machinery, so I thought I'd talk about it.
Yes, we had a similar. No. I had a similar machine at my school. It was a piece of wood with a drawing of some milk.
Yeah, I devised a game at school called Snakes and Udders.
I love the fact you just mega mixed two other people's stories. You're like the Jive Bunny of this room.
I'm old, have some respect.
So anyway, we had these big boxes of milk, and they had like sort of something like 10 litres of milk in them, and someone from the senior school had got hold of one of these unopened and kept it in their room for 2 months. And then after 2 months had decided the best thing they could do with it would be to lob it off the top floor. And it just so happened that I was coming out of the dining hall at this point. And I don't know if you've ever seen sort of 18 pints of hardened milk explode on concrete.
I have, yeah.
I was like this 11-year-old standing there in a Tudor cassock. It was like a mushroom bomb of sort of Dairy Lee. It was absolutely disgusting. Like anyone within a sort of 15-metre radius was just covered in the stuff. There was people crying, dry retching. It was like the least sexy phone party you've ever seen in your life.
There are no non-sexy phone parties.
No, but it was disgusting. So I had to go back, and we had this stuff called Sprim, which you guys know Sprim, right?
No.
It's like it smells of urine, and you had to spray it on your clothes to clean off the stuff.
Oh, Sprim, yeah.
Very big in the 16th century. Sprim. Do you not remember the Sprim door-to-door doorstep challenge?
So I spent about a week trying to sprim off all this milk.
That's the rudest sounding sentence I've ever. I mean, has this manifested itself? Are you scared of dairy products? Or?
Huh? Well, when they're thrown at me from the top floor, yes.
Was it a boy who threw it?
It was a boy who threw it, yeah.
Did you go, how dairy? How dairy?
I'm actually getting lactose intolerant to your jokes.
So that's a fairly embarrassing ordeal. Barry, what happened to you at school?
I wore period costume at school, but I'm so old it was topical then. Lee was talking about his fruit machine, and you mentioned dinner money and all that stuff. At school all those years ago, you had a book of tickets that you had to buy, your parents bought, for your lunch. And I was always working out scams and ducking and diving at school. And we found some tickets in a bin, and we put them together, and we flogged them off again.
You had a black market within the school?
Yes, I'm not proud of this, looking back.
Well, you're telling us all about it. You seem fairly
I know,
proud.
I am. I'm standing up now. And then we were summoned to the headmaster's office. Lee mentioned being, beaten in those days.
Excuse me, Barry.
Our headmaster...
Whoa. When you say those days... Well, I'm more Holly than Barry, if you don't mind me saying.
Yes. But you did mention beating, didn't you?
Yes, I did, yes. We were beaten.
Don't sprim around with me. Now, we were summoned to the headmaster's office and given the euphemistically known, what an obscene expression, 6 of the best. You were whacked in the palm of your hand. No table tennis bat, Lee. We were whacked for
but my teacher was a Chinese guy, and he liked to bring some spin into it. That was all.
Oh, right. Do you want a supplementary?
Well, yeah.
I also sold the shortcut for the cross-country run.
What do you say?
We ran it once, my mates and I, and we thought this is a bit exhausting, a bit long. And I'd noticed there was a clump of bushes halfway round, And if you hid in the bushes, right, and as the runners came round the full long circuit, you sort of joined them, as if you'd been with them all the time.
Right.
But not too much near the front. In the middle, so you wouldn't be suspected.
So it was
you know.
realistic.
So I thought, wait a minute, I'm onto something here. So I wrote down the details on a bit of paper, this clump of bushes, and then if you go in there, and sold it for old money, 2p. And one of the boys bought it from me, copied it out, and sold it for a penny. So I discovered market forces very early on.
I have to say, I mean, you seem trustworthy, but if you tried to sell me for 2p a trip into a bush, I don't know I'd invest. I mean, surely there was a flaw in your plan anyway, because surely if you sold everyone the shortcut,
yes,
then what the hell happens on that cross-country run? It creates some sort of time-space vacuum or something?
I never knew why the cross-country run didn't collapse due to lack of interest.
I guess these days kids probably can... Because I used to cheat on cross-country runs and pretend I'd run the whole thing. But I seem to remember being asked something about the route, and that was my downfall. But I guess now you could do it all on Google Street View.
No.
You could do it all and go, yeah, I went past the man with the blurred face.
Yeah.
So at the end of that, we've got Lee tried to make his own fruit machine, which wasn't a fruit machine. Sounds like a cockamamie scheme if ever there was one. Holly got hit by, 10 pints of milk, was it?
No, 10 litres, 18 pints.
I don't want to... Oh, right. OK, and Barry tried various money-making schemes, including selling a shortcut, which is amazing. But I'm going to award the point to Holly for the milk incident. Now, our next round is called Do Your Worst. It's a test of my guests' capacity for creative wrongdoing. This week, our theme is the news. These days, the news often consists of shaky camera phone footage of people being subjected to extreme violence and suffering. It's kind of like a funny You've Been Framed. Oh, you're sensitive. Toughen up, it's a hard world. Anyway, this week I have asked my guests to pitch me the worst possible idea for a TV news gimmick. We'll start with you, Holly.
I'd like to do 24-hour rolling local news.
I can...
But with, like, sort of Fox News production values. You know, so really, really...
Just lies.
Yeah, lies. And so there'd be, like, for instance, if a cat went missing... You'd have hour upon hour of news about the cat going missing.
Have you seen Sky News? It's not much different, to be honest.
It'd be like the journalist would go to the cat's house, then they'd have interviews with people who knew the cat, then they'd have a reconstruction of the last time they saw the cat, then they'd talk to a local vet about the difference between a cat and a non-cat.
That might take some time.
Journalists...
The problem is, Holly, they'd smell the milk on you and suspect you.
They'd have journalists from, like, the local parish magazine chipping in with their comments. Then there'd be, like, discussions about the font on the missing cat poster. You know, they'd just
I'd tune in for that.
And all the time at the bottom, there'd be, like, scrolling graphics with every status of planning permissions in the area.
So this is already not bad.
Yeah.
Genuinely, there was a TV channel that was for Isle of Wight rolling news, and it was pretty much someone's left a gate open. Gate still open. It was pretty much that. That's not a bad idea, but surely all news is local to somewhere. I mean, how insanely local does it get? The radiators need bleeding.
Yeah.
Barry, what's your idea?
Well, I had an idea which I think, conversely, would attract enormous viewing figures, which is Katie Price presenting Newsnight.
OK.
That's it. That's it. I'd watch that, and I realise it's not a terrible idea. I bet that would grab the viewers.
Is she briefed on what's happened?
Well briefed indeed.
I prefer it if she's not told. I prefer it if she's not told. She doesn't know what's happened and she has to make it up for an hour.
Shows her magazine under her own name and plays her latest album, introduces 3 ghostwriters who did her books. You could fill a whole programme.
She writes a column for The Sun on Sunday, and in her first ever column she praised the war reporter Mary Colvin, who died, sadly, saying, I would have loved to have met her. She went to war to stand up to bullies. Which was a bizarrely... And there was a simplistic tribute, but quite heartfelt. Only slightly...
Patronising jet.
Only slightly undermined by the fact that right next to it there was a paragraph starting, I'm thinking of trading in my pink Range Rover for a fire engine. And she also complained that Whitney Houston's funeral wasn't dignified enough, which is rich coming from someone who will be buried one day in a vajazzled coffin on Sky Living 3D. I think one thing I would genuinely like to see on the news is, you know, sometimes you tune in, there's a sign language interpreter in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm so jaded and unemotional, I'd just like a man pulling a face to tell me what I should feel.
Yes.
Lee, how would you improve the news?
Well, when I watch things like Sky News and stuff, I'm always interested in the woman or the man that sits on the desk and then uses the laptop, as opposed to sitting down and using the laptop on the desk. And I think the idea is to make it look casual. And also, she'll press a button, then it comes up on the big screen. But she doesn't need to do that, does she? The producer sorts that out. But she's doing it to make us feel that she, too, gets the news like we get the news, all casually on a computer. But that's not how I get my news. I get my news by watching the news, which she should know because she's talking to me watching the news.
Yes.
So the idea of it being all casual and relaxed and I'm just like you see, that doesn't work on me. I'm old school. I watch the news, or my mate Pete tells me. He'll ring me up and just go, oh, you see the news? And it's always about what's affecting him. Like, have you seen how much pot noodles have gone up by? So I'd like
He lives a full life.
Well, he does. Very full. Actually not.
Did you hear about that cat?
Yes. I'm old school. I want a dicky bow and I don't want to see them from the waist down. But enough of my sex life.
There was a period where Eamon Holmes was doing a morning breakfast.
I definitely don't want him sat on the desk.
Well, no. He was standing up but he was behind a sort of counter, and it looked like he was running a news shop. It was really weird, because it was just odd to be welcomed into his news shop in the morning. Hello, I'm Eamon. This is what I've got for you: a bombing. No thanks. I'd love it if at the start it's like Hugh Edwards, and instead of just going, he just beckons you down an alleyway. You'll never guess.
Yeah, it'd be great.
You'll never guess what Miliband done today.
That'd be great.
I was just thinking about Hugh Edwards, and I don't know if anyone's noticed this. Watch this next time you're watching the news. He's sniffing something off his finger during every news. This is not a joke, it's true. Next time you're watching it, when it comes back from a report, he's sitting there like this, going, at the end of every report, it's really mysterious once you've noticed it. You keep an eye out for that. I should look over your... So your suggestions are, Holly, you've suggested 24-hour, insanely local rolling news about missing cats and the like. Barry suggested Katie Price presenting Newsnight. I like the idea of that. And Lee, you just want kind of dodgy and casual news reading.
Yeah.
I'm going to award the point to Barry, because I want to see Katie Price.
Presenting Newsnight.
This round is called This Putrid Modern Hell, and it's devoted to the biggest wrongs from the modern world. I'll be asking each of my guests to nominate the one thing they hate most about modern life, and my favourite answer wins a point. Progress. Progress, that's modern, and progress often makes headlines. There was great excitement recently when scientists announced they'd managed to create a totally synthetic form of meat. I assumed they'd done that years ago when I first saw John Barrowman. Barry.
Yes.
Barry, what annoys you about this terrifying modern world you find yourself trapped in?
The lack of the human element. You ring up and you don't speak to a human being often. You've got a tape. Press 1, press 2, press 3, press 4. And the cold call that comes to you on the phone. Hello, how are you? You don't know me. Why are you asking how am I? I'm not asking how you are. Who are you? Phone slammed down. Joe Brown, my old friend the singer, right? Joe Brown told me he got a cold call one day and the caller said, Mr. Brown, how are you? And Joe burst into tears and said, Joe's left me, and hung up.
That's a good response.
It's good, isn't it?
See, I quite like talking to machines.
I don't. I saw a cartoon the other day, a couple on a park bench, and the man is saying to the woman, text me you love me. That's where we are now. No human contact. What's going on?
I once had a phone which came with pre-programmed text responses to things, so you could quickly respond if somebody texted you. And one of them was, I love you too. And I thought, that is cold. But useful. And you could send it out to a whole group.
Yes, could come in handy.
It wasn't bad. I mean, I saw somebody having an argument. It was one of these phones where he's got a voice assistant, and you hold down a button and you go, please arrange a meeting for me to talk about the onion situation. That's not a very convincing situation I've got. At 3 o'clock on Friday. And I saw a guy in an airport. He sort of said, sorry, I didn't quite get that. And so he pushed the button again and said, please set up a meeting for 3 o'clock. And it went, sorry, I don't quite understand. Was that 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock? And he started getting so enraged with it, it was just like a couple, in that he got embarrassed that he was losing his temper and he took it over to a corner. It was like, look, what I'm trying to... You always do this. Why do you have to do this? I think you've got to get used to it because it's in now. That's what's going to happen.
No, but I'm still allowed to shout back. I've got to fight my corner.
Yeah, but they're just cold machines. They won't... I quite like that. It's like... I like cats more than dogs because cats don't give a toss whether you live or die. And nor do machines. It's just a more honest world.
But they've still got... But the cats have still got a few emotions, and I suspect that you like toasters more, Charlie. I imagine you've got a toaster as a pet that just sits on the floor and you stroke it, you know...
Then you feed it bread.
Yeah. You plug it in winter.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of a toaster as a pet, but now that you put it in those... feeding it bread, automatically, that's much... I can't actually own pets because I'm too sensitive, genuinely. I just worry that they're going to die the whole time. And I'm in a constant state of terror.
But you're married.
Yes.
You're not bothered about her.
Priorities... So, well, we'll move on to you then, Lee. What annoys you about the modern world?
I don't like the amount of choice we have with shampoos. I struggle with choice. I don't like too much choice. I like having a set menu in a restaurant. I like thinking.
Option paralysis, it's called.
That's what I was going to say, but I thought you hadn't heard the phrase. Sorry.
Yeah.
I go online, right, to a supermarket, and do you know how many... I typed in the word shampoo in the search bit. How many came up?
33?
289.
That's a lot.
That's more than I need. One of them was caffeine shampoo.
What?
Why do you need caffeine shampoo? What does that do?
Yes, no, I wondered that. I saw it advertised on television. I think it's hair loss. It's meant to be good for
It keeps your hair up all night.
It puts the coffee in coiffure.
Recently, I bought some shampoo that was chocolate and mint.
See, that's what I don't like.
I'd eat that.
I don't like that. I don't like food. I saw one for cucumber and mandarin. I am northern. I don't even eat fruit and veg. I'm not putting it on my head.
Holly, what do you despise about the modern world?
I hate baby showers. I think they are the biggest waste of time. I think it's so self-indulgent because the baby hasn't even arrived yet, so all you're doing is going around and celebrating the fact that someone's had unprotected sex.
That is worth celebrating, in my experience.
And
Can I just stop you, Holly? Am I the only person in the room that when she said baby showers thought showers for babies?
Me too, Lee.
Yeah, we were just thinking, baby baths, what's
mini
wrong with that?
shower.
Exactly, yes. What happens at a baby shower? I haven't been to one.
You go
People
around
won't
to
let me
people's-
near anyone with a child. That's for not a sinister reason. They just think I'm not a good influence.
No. You're just worried that they're going to grow up and eventually die, and it upsets you.
We all will. What happens? I'm sorry, I'll keep it light. No, we might. Maybe we won't. Let's look on the bright side. Maybe they'll cure it. What happens? What happens
you
at a baby
go
shower?
around to people's houses, people who you used to be friends with, and then they got pregnant, and then you realise you've got nothing in common with. And you sit around with other people who've either got children or like children or enjoy talking about children. And you talk about babies for about an hour and a half and you eat cake. There's no alcohol because that's banned. And then you leave and you think, oh, man, that was such a waste of my afternoon. That's how it works.
Are you meant to take gifts?
You have to take a present, which
So
is
it's a
just...
scam.
Not everyone has to take them a present. Surely only
Everyone has to take them a present.
Oh, I think it meant just the people that had got her pregnant.
No.
Everyone's
They've
got a
already
gift.
given their gift. That's,
I'm going to use that phrase when my wife says help with the kids. I think you'll find I've already given my gift.
I didn't even bother wrapping it.
Not my...
It's such a waste. The thing is, people. I mean, you've got babies, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I've got 3.
You have to realise that other people don't like talking about babies as much as you do because.
You say that. Wait till you see a photograph of mine. Hang on now. You'll love these. They're right little darlings.
Whenever people do that, my friends always show me photos of their babies. They're like, "Do you want to see?" And I'm like, "No." When they do that, I like to get my phone out and show them pictures of really good lions I've had.
What you should do, I know what you mean.
I'm like, "Oh my God, she's adorable. Look at this photo of me. I didn't get out of bed till 2 p.m. Look at my little face." I mean.
So Barry, you hate automated phone lines and talking to machines.
Yeah.
Lee, you're enraged by an excess of shampoos. And Holly, you don't like baby showers. You know what? I'm going to give the point to Holly because I think baby showers are despicable. And now, to our final round. This is a quick-fire round in which I'll be asking my guests a series of quick-fire questions. As always, the wrongest answer to each one will win a point. So we'll kick off. What is the worst advertising slogan for a car?
From naught to heaven.
That's not bad. Advertising for any worse than...
Volvo, because it's time to let go of your dreams.
Oh, but what if you dreamt of driving around in a box? Some people have. Some people have. You know, the one I don't like is there's a car. I don't even know which car it is, but it goes zoom zoom. It's a little kid saying zoom zoom, and you think, I am an adult. I am 41 years old. It's a car. It goes zoom zoom. It got wheels. The car done got the wheel. When it go down, zoom zoom. Talk to me like that, you. Anyway. Terrible thing being patronised by Lee. Come up with a worse advertising slogan.
It'll get you to where you want it to go, and that's it. Nothing more. You're not going to get any women, so forget it. Be more honest, isn't it? Because that's the subtext to all the car adverts, isn't it? I think the cars are just boring. You know, cars. You go in, shut the door, you press the button on the right with your foot, and then when you get out, you're in Burnley. That's it. Not always. If you go into Burnley, obviously you could be. If you're not, then your car's broken. If you wanted to go to the shops, ended up in Burnley.
Who's the worst person you could think of to release their own perfume?
Piers Morgan. You wouldn't rush to buy that,
Gove
would you?
by Michael Gove.
Balls by Ed Balls. I went to a pound shop once and they genuinely sold a product called Channel Number 5.
Really?
And they had another one called Obsessive Women. It actually smelled of burnt hair.
Well, it's a point to you. Holly! Well, that noise means we've reached the end of the show, making Holly this week's worst contestant. Congratulations, you're so wrong, it's right, Holly Walsh. Commiserations to my other two guests, Barry Cryer and Lee Mack. Goodbye.
So Wrong It's Right was hosted by Charlie Brooker with guests Barry Cryer, Holly Walsh and Lee Mack. The producer was Aled Evans, and it was a Zeppotron production for BBC Radio 4.